I finally come out of quarantine today. So I've been
Wow.
inside.
Now,
I haven't been doing much of nothing, man.
wow. Hart? Did you have it, or were you
I had
traced to
my
somebody?
wife. My wife had it. My wife was exposed to it home, and I got it. And we both were quarantining for 14 days. We're scheduled to go out this Wednesday and have another test to make sure that we're negative now. But yeah, we both are positive.
Wow. I hope you didn't. Were you asymptomatic, or did you have symptoms?
Well, for 2 days I was, man, it was death. I mean, I ran a fever. I was just miserable. And I guess I try to describe it as just a real bad, when you have the flu or when your body is aching, throw in the fever. I mean, I'm talking about from my bottom of my feet to the top of my head, I was aching. But it only
Wow.
lasts for 2 days. And then after that, more than anything, the only thing I notice is the breathing part of it. Like when I breathe in real hard, I can tell that my body's been a little compromised. But other than that, I thank God I'm fine. I think I feel pretty good.
Did you lose the taste and smell?
I never lost any taste. My wife lost taste, but I didn't lose any taste or smell.
Okay. Okay.
And
Man.
the funny thing about it, man, we went from one day my wife would have a symptom, and then the next day I would have that same one. Or it was like one day she'd feel good, I'd feel bad. We never were on the same page until yesterday. We both felt pretty good. And so I guess it's ran its course, I'm assuming. But it's just a scary deal right now, man, because I hadn't been around many people. And my wife had went into work at a salon, and she never took her mask off. Her client never took her mask off. And some kind of way that client exposed her because her husband was positive, and boom, it ran like that. So
Wow.
guys, be safe. What's going
Wow.
on, man?
Well, not much. In fact, I mean, I was just thinking about it because my wife works in a dental office, and they've been as careful as can be. But as you well know, that's I wonder every day, about her coming home, and then I've been doing remotes now for about a month again on the radio, and we're at Freddy's today in Stillwater, and I'm sitting outside. I just said, I don't need to go in there and the restaurant, and they got masks in there, and they're doing things the right way, but I just said I'll just sit out, even though it's going to be 100 degrees. Hey, I won't melt.
Yeah,
There's too much of me to melt.
yeah,
So,
yeah. It's a scary deal just for the simple fact you're basing your life on somebody else because you
sure.
don't know where that other person has been, and the exposure. We don't really know. It's too many question marks with this stuff, man. So I just thank God we got by it, man, and it
Well, and
wasn't too devastating, because
no,
it could kill some people, man.
and hopefully that's a good thing. You've had it, and you'll have the antibodies, and I mean, we still don't know if you can get it again, but most people think you can't. So I'm hoping for your sake, you're done.
Well, you know what? My wife was hoping that, and of course I've been doing a lot of reading because if I wanted to know if, hey man, if you get it once, you're done, then boom, let's rock and roll. But from what I'm hearing, you could get it more than once. So go figure. Go
Does
figure,
this?
man.
Let me ask you, since you've been through this now, because I really
Okay.
haven't talked. I haven't talked up close to too many people who have really been through it. How does this make you feel about playing football, whether it's high school, college, or pro this
Well,
year?
well, the thing about it, Robert, I'll have to say my answer would be biased because I love sports, and I've never been so bored as I've been these last 6 months, man. So sad as it is, I want basketball, I want baseball to come back, but honest with you, I just don't know how it's gonna be able to come back because I think when someone gets sick, like they opening these places up for these basketball guys now, Robert, it's no way you can perform if you're sick.
No.
So what are you going to do when you got, maybe you got 3 or 4 of your starters that's sick in a basketball team? Because it's not like you can take a shot and go out there and play. Because the first thing that I noticed was it takes your breath. You don't have the recovery. When you breathe, your breathing is being disturbed. And so imagine trying to exercise at a high level during a period like that. But the second thing is when my wife came, she was exposed on a Thursday. It didn't hit her, Robert, until Saturday evening. She began coughing, and she could not stop coughing all night Saturday. And my first response was, I said, "Well, hey, I'm gonna get up. I better get up. I'm gonna go in another room and sleep." And part of me said that, but I think the world we live in, I said, "Oh man, I'll be all right. This ain't nothing." And man, sure enough, boom, it got on me.
Wow.
So
well, hey,
I just don't know. I'm praying that sports come back because, I mean, this is a boring time right now for me, and I get anxious just looking. I saw where they're going to release the baseball thing today. Now imagine getting pumped up to watch baseball. That tells you how bored you've been.
You know what? I celebrated my 60th birthday last week, and we went to. They were having in Tulsa instead of minor league baseball, which got canceled. They were having a collegiate league,
Yeah.
and so we went up there and watched collegiate players playing in the summer. And yeah, Tom Holliday's managing that team in Tulsa, and he wore a mask the entire game. I'm like, man, you know this is bad if TH won't take his mask off.
Yeah. Well, happy belated birthday, man. Hope you had a good one. I tell you what, I've been so bored, Robert. I sat down the other day, and my wife, I turned, and mixed martial arts was on. And I tried to watch it for maybe 5 minutes, and I just couldn't do it, man. I said, man, I can't watch this. But that's how desperate I was. I found myself watching old NBA games on the NBA channel, just stuff that I never normally would have watched. But yeah, man, I don't know. I got my fingers crossed that we can get this thing kicked off.
Yeah, I got excited watching NASCAR last night. I couldn't turn away from it. My wife goes, "You're not that big on NASCAR." I said, "Yeah, but they're racing. They're racing. You know what the heck? Hey, I gotta ask you because a story came out in Tulsa today, and it quoted some of your former teammates, Thurman and also Gillum and Melvin Gillum and a couple of more recent guys. And I'm sure you've been following what's gone on with Oklahoma State, with Coach Gundy. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that because and what your relationship has been like with Mike Gundy since you played with him.
Well, the first thing I'll answer that question, Robert, is I know the thing that's driving this is Mike a racist? And my wife has met Mike on numerous occasions. She doesn't know him with the depth that I know him. So she asked me the other day, because we've been at home, like I say, quarantining, and she said, is Mike, is he a racist? And my exact words to her was no. I said, now what I will tell you is I've known Mike Gundy from the time we were, kids. There was this period I didn't see him for 10 years maybe. And then when I come to Stillwater now, or I need to get a hold of him, I'm able to get a hold of him. I call his wife. And one time, Gundy, have I heard him say anything racist to me or to someone else? He's never used a racist term. He's never said anything out of line around me. Now, what I will say is I don't know what Mike does in his private life. But if you ask me word for word, I don't think the guy's a racist.
All right. What about your relationship with him? Because that was something Thurman.
The problem, and I'll share this with you, Robert. I have nothing to hide. I'm transparent. I've talked to Mike, and one of the issues, there's a huge disconnect between former players and Mike. Now, I think what guys are seeing is they knew Mike when we be the same Mike that he was when we were in college, when former guys get together. They just don't feel like we're connected anymore to.
Yeah, Hart, let me get you to repeat that. You cut out in the middle of that answer. Let me get you to repeat that again.
Is there's a disconnect between the former players and Mike. I know they feel like it should be more of a bonding because we all cut our teeth together. Yet Mike's went on and had a lot of success. He's made a lot of money as a head coach of our alma mater. And they just feel like they're not being received the way they should be. And I'm embarrassed with that. Like I tell a lot of these guys, Robert, a lot of guys have disgruntlement. And I'm the first one to say I should be on the forefront, hitting my chest and banging my horn because I don't get acknowledged, I don't get recognized as the greatest receiver to step foot on that campus. And I really believe that. But I've let that go. I don't let that harbor who I am past it. I don't let that eat at me. But I have to admit, it does bother me. Probably can't have anything to do with that. Mike can't control that. That's over his head, I'm sure. But I just don't think. I think it's the main problem, Robert, is the disconnect between former players and the way it's presented when you return to Stillwater. And some of the discussions I've heard with various players, I mean, you sweated your blood, tears, you bleed orange from afar. They lose. Even today, when they lose, I lose, Robert. And it shouldn't be a position where when you go back home, the doors are not open for you. I've been there with guys and they struggle to get tickets. I'm just lucky to be one of those guys that I don't have that problem. But there's some guys, they don't even have tickets to the game. I mean, you talk about coming to Stillwater to watch your alma mater, watch the team that you love, and you got to struggle to pay $600 because it's a 2-night minimum room rate there in Stillwater. And then on top of that, you got to try to find tickets to the game. I mean, it should be something more to where guys can be. I think they need to be more welcoming to former players. And I think that would bridge the gap between what's going on down there with the disconnect. Because it might, when this situation arose, if there was a connection, those guys that know Mike, they could have came to his aid. But they don't know him because they haven't seen him in 20 years, 25 years. And then when they do have something it's so sporadic that, you know, he may just blow in and blow out. It's not a deal where he sees a guy, he sees an old lineman or old guy that played on the team and maybe wasn't quote unquote a name person, but they still feel acknowledged. That's the problem.
Yeah, and that's you make a good point. I know this. And you have you been in the spring for the Legends Day?
I used to come there years ago, man. I hadn't been. The weirdest thing is I got married. My anniversary is on the 14th, and my wife's birthday is the 15th, and it's always right
That
around
weekend.
that time. So I hadn't been there in about 10 years.
I
but
got you.
Previously, when I would come down there then, and but I just see, like you just said though,
You're right.
You isolate the Legends weekend. What about when we need to win a big game and everybody show up?
Yeah.
And the camaraderie, and you got guys in there that they bleed orange too. What about having used to come there when before this thing got all the way out of whack. I'll say got a few guys that are regarded as some of the better players that came through there. Man, it was like carte blanche. You could talk to the players. You could go to the locker room, pep them up. Now, those days are far gone, man. You can't go in the locker room.
No, that's a good point. And you know what? I know this. They used to have the Lettermans, the O Club, and
Old
I
club up
know
there.
and I know the O Club that has not been as I'm not sure they've budgeted as much and so forth for that. I'm going to look into
See,
that, but
but Robert, even the guys I've been talking to on the phone,
yeah,
man, if they even these guys wouldn't harbor it, whatever it took to put the money in to where they could do that and you could go to the games and not be strained up. If you're going to go in and you got the Letterman's Lounge and we got to donate if it's $500 a year or whatever it is per player, and you got access to the game, you can sit in there and watch the game with one other guest, but there's nothing like that around there.
yeah.
You know the connection of OSU fans if we had something like that, and they knew guys was coming into town that weekend. I think the programs that are successful, you look at over the years how those programs were built. It's not what they're doing now. It's what they did back then. It's bridging the gap with these guys. You look at LSU, Odell Beckham in the locker room. You can't tell me he doesn't have influence on those guys down at LSU. When he shows up to a game.
No, I'm sure he
We
does.
got Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas, two of the greatest running backs of all time. They were going to take a part of this thing. You don't think that would be big?
No, and we've had we've had opportunities when they've done that before, and it's been successful when they've been here. But you're right. That's
every
slipped.
kid that came through Oklahoma State, starting with Rashard Woods, I get a phone call every year. I got a phone call by Tyler Wallace last year. Now if I'm regarded as the best, I believe that, and somebody must think that because somebody calls me every year wanting my opinion about these receivers. I set the bar for them, and I played in a run offense.
Yes, you did. In fact, I was going to ask you, how much would you like to play in the offense now?
Man, it would be unmatched. It would be. The books would be blown open. I looked at some stats, Robert. It's so funny you said that. We played against Kansas. Gundy threw 18 passes in the game. I caught 9. And he was 18 or 13 or something like that. 18 passes, they throw that in one quarter. Or 2 series, probably.
Yeah.
Man, I've let bygones be bygones, but it does bother me that I'm not acknowledged in Stillwater. When I walk around the stadium, I see all these guys' pictures. I may see one picture of me. I think there's one picture of Gundy and I in that whole stadium. And Pat Jones said it best. He said, Thurman, myself, and Gundy are the all-time Big A leaders in offense. And that will never be broken because the Big 8 is no longer around.
Right.
So how can I not be acknowledged there?
Hey, let me ask you, because I'm pretty sure, and if it not, I'm gonna go check. The locker room in the west end zone on the outside has pictures. You're in that group, aren't you?
That might be a little picture of me in a mural. I see. That might be the only picture I've seen. Now the pictures up when you walk into the stadium. There's Bryant. They got a couple guys I don't even know.
Yeah, because
the problem I have, I'm not even in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and
See,
you
so
should be.
you talk about
No,
a
you
guy. If I
should be.
wanted to be just angry, I could be the first guy out front. But I'm not angry. I'm hurt because I think my action on the field should be exemplary and it should be put on a platform. Because I just think that everything I did must be in vain because nobody wants to showcase it. That's the problem I have. And
Yeah.
I think it's been long enough. I think when I look back from a child to a man, my life I'm 53 years old. We're on the other side now, Robert. And I
Yeah.
would love to be acknowledged one day as one of the greatest players to play at Oklahoma State history. That's what
Well,
I would like.
and,
But that
you
has
should.
not marked me one way or the other. For me, I love the position it put me in, and I have no bearings. And I think Mike, the only thing's changed with Mike is Mike's made a lot of money, but Mike is not a racist.
Well, and I've seen you and he together. In fact, most recently. By the way, how's your dog? Didn't get it? Did you got that
Oh,
gorgeous dog we saw?
man, listen. I set up my wife and I. We went. We left home one day and we went to. I was eating a kolache, and man, I have a tendency to eat and then give him some. And this particular day, I said he doesn't chew it up, so I bit it, had it in my mouth, and I gave it to him. And almost one night, we were feeling real bad tonight, and I said, "Baby, I gave Tip some food out of my mouth today." She said, "Oh no, man, Robert, we were up all night worried that he was gonna have COVID." And I don't know. I don't think he ever got it because he's still up moving around, running around. But we've been cautious about it ever since, man, because
Oh, wow.
I felt bad. I was like, man, why would I do that? But I wasn't even thinking, And
No.
but no, I think he's good.
Okay. Well, and what I was going to say is, I read this story and I'm like, well, Hart, I know you've been in the locker room. I know you and Mike have had, for instance, the bowl game before practice, sitting up there together, and then afterwards, I kind of was nosing in, listening to you guys talk, and
And see, that's
so
the thing. Mike is still the little number 12 to me. That's what Mike is to me. He's 12, and I'm 11. And it's remained that way for all these years. But also, I think I remember when I first came back and I saw Mike, and Mike was kind of guarded. You can feel when somebody's kind of, not really their self. And he was in his position as the head coach of Oklahoma State University. He had to carry himself a little bit different. He couldn't be at Joe's, drinking and having a good time like he did when we were younger. I
yeah,
understood that. But initially, I was taken back because I only knew him to be the guy that I knew when we were in school. Well, things have changed, but I think what Mike has done now is he's just kind of pulled himself all the way out of everything, like the connection. That's why it's gotten
yeah,
so much farther away from reality almost. And he's kind of like in a bubble almost to a certain extent. I mean, I'm still afforded entry into it, but a lot of people are not. But then I got to also say he's got to be guarded in somewhat of his position because it could be taken away from the wrong situation, wrong place, wrong agenda. He's got to look out for himself. But I think he's got to learn how to gauge between being somewhat open to former players that have a link to him compared
sure.
to thinking that everybody's out to get him.
Yeah. Hey, Hart, we got to run, but I appreciate this and so glad to. I had no idea, but I'm so glad to hear you're feeling good and think you're over it. And I hope you get that negative test on Wednesday. And so glad for you and your wife that you've survived. I haven't talked to that many people that have actually had it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this has been educational for me, but I'm just so glad you're feeling better.
Well, hey, man, I thank you for calling me. I hate it surrounding these kind of circumstances. I think Oklahoma State's a great place, and I think this is negative publicity and that we don't need, but it's something that can be fixed. I don't think it's unrepairable. Mike's done a great job there. I commend him. And like I say, go Pokes.
Hey, Hart, thanks. Appreciate it.
Take
All
it
right,
easy.
Hart. All right, Hartley Dykes.